Sakurahime9494 on Instagram. This is an amazing fan-made game called Tomb Raider: The Dagger of Xian. It is a remake of Tomb Raider 2 from 1990s, and it is absolutely amazing. But this is basically a review of the game. It is so far not the entire game. So far only the very first level is available to play, and it is not complete. It is pretty long and pretty awesome, and when you get to the very end, it kind of just forces you into a black screen. It says to be continued. But it is the first cave, and as you can tell, they remastered the opening track and pretty much quite a few of the original game tracks in more modern technology, and it sounds amazing. It's I just want to sing. It's the original melody, but it sounds amazing. I love the new background and with the dynamic moving characters in the back, including the big dragon that goes across the screen. And I love the render of Lara and the amazing model of her. I like the different animations that she does when you're standing idle. Everything you see right here on the screen, she actually does in the game as well when you're standing idle. Like her crossing her arms, shifting her weight between her two hips. There's also a few things in here that are really freaking amazing. So this is the original model. This is a variation of her t-shirt. This one's called Assault Course. It's kind of basically just her outfit that she wears at her house in the Tomb Raider 3 game, I believe. I think she also wears this in Tomb Raider 2 Croft Manor. South Pacific Islands from 2003. Oh my, 2003. Tomb Raider 3. Yeah, so she wears this outfit when she's doing the South Pacific Islands levels of Tomb Raider 3. This is the outfit from Nevada. Like, I absolutely love how they actually rendered all of, not all of, but a lot of her different outfits from across the games. My favorite will be coming soon. Now, why did it not... Oh, no, it was in the character models. There we go. So you get to take a look at these really cool things. You actually get to click it and like zoom around and like move it around. But we are just going to take a look. There's different classic poses that we all know, Lara, and different outfits. And that's what I was talking about, my favorites in here. They have a lot more in here, and they did a whole bunch of renders from all the different, you know, styles and looks that Lara has done the past 20 plus years. This one I absolutely love. My memory card is actually in this shape right here. Like it's her torso, like all the way down to her waist, and then it's the memory card. It's in this pose. This is a pretty classic, famous pose for her. I like this one too. And almost all of them have her sunglasses on it. You notice her sunglasses are on the floor in front of her in this one. Sola is the scuba diving suit shorty that she wore in the underwater levels of Tomb Raider 2, where she dives on the wreck of the Maria Doria. And she has her pistols on her sides and her trusty shotgun. And here's a couple of more of her poses. I really, really love it. It looks amazing. It looks very realistic. It looks really amazing. And as you can tell already just by the sound effects of me going and clicking through the menu, it is very, very similar to the Legends trilogy of the Tomb Raider games. The sound effects, the back noises, the click noises, they're all the same as all of the stuff from the Legends game. Legends, Anniversary, and Underworld is the Legends trilogy. So this game must have been started back around that time frame and only just recently got completed within the past 3 years. It absolutely is amazing, and we'll get into it. Her Pacific outfit, there's a couple of really cute poses of her, and they even changed the texture of the platform she's sitting on. This one has, you know, a wooden floor. This one looks like a rocky floor in her Nevada with her Uzis in her hand. I really like those camo pants. I honestly always loved them. Oh, cute, right? Her in the gym. Now that, I believe, is her outfit from when you go to Croft Manor in the first Tomb Raider game. And she's sitting on a yoga mat. My absolute favorite. It's called Lara Home Sweet Home. The tiles, the floor. It's from the final scene of Tomb Raider 2, where she's in the bathroom after you beat the game. And she goes, "Don't you think you've seen enough?" And she shoots the camera with the shotgun. She's wearing her robe. She's about to take it off and take a shower. So it's, goodness, I absolutely love it so much. Her on the quad bike, ooh, with her outfit. I absolutely love it. The quad bike now is not designed the exact same way, because if you look at her outfit, you would think that she's in Nevada. And the quad bike that you use in the levels in Nevada of Tomb Raider 3 has a camo design on the quad bike itself. But this one's just red with white stripes. But it's fine because it still looks amazing. It looks like the quad bike that she has at her house. And there's one here in a bikini with her glasses and a gun in front of her. This one actually looks kind of amazing. Not gonna lie. They didn't over-glorify her model either, and that's what I'm honestly really happy about. They didn't over-sexualize her model. Like, yeah, obviously she's wearing a bikini, but they didn't make her excessively large breasts and excessively hourglass-shaped figure. Like, they made her gorgeous, but she's normal gorgeous and not annoyingly exaggerated as a woman. That kind of matters to me. This dress made me really excited because in the Legends games, there's a level where she attends a party and it looks like she just has a regular, beautiful black dress on. Her hair was not like in a ponytail though, with a braid. And she actually was attacked by Soever, and she had concealed guns under the dress. And this one's got gloves. Like, I love it. And she has shoes. I absolutely love it. It's like a nod towards that one scene in the Legends game. And there's a model that's actually modeled for Winston. They rendered a model for Winston. There's actually a menu option in the beginning of the game to go to Croft Manor, but it's grayed out and it's not playable. So I'm assuming they're going to add it at some point, because they do have a model already for Winston. They have a model for a crow, a spider, and a tiger, and a T-Rex, which unfortunately we don't get to play in this first level. We have not gotten to that point. The level is actually not complete. It's like maybe, I would say 3/4 complete. And then it gives you a black screen and says it's to be continued. So there's a couple, and these are all the tracks that they have in the game. They all sound amazing so far. And again, Croft Manor is in the play game and options. But we might as well go on and get to it. I actually have played it already. If I resume it, it probably will just go to the same spot and say to be continued. So we're going to actually start from the very beginning and show you how amazing this game is in comparison to the original. We're going to keep it on medium. We don't need the tutorial text, although it might, be necessary if you are just starting. Yep, that is the find. Lara Croft, the well-known adventurer and archaeologist, has just discovered an old text about the misadventures of Peng Bai, a Tibetan monk who stole the Dagger of Xian centuries ago. According to legend, if a person stabs themselves through the heart with the dagger, it will transform them into a dragon. By tracing the geographical coordinates written on the document, Lara discovers her next destination, the Great Wall of China. Who knows, this might be the final resting place of the cursed artifact. Look at this gorgeous loading screen. That actually is the loading screen for this level. And here's the intro to it. Trees look a little choppy, but they rendered it absolutely beautifully. They actually extended it a little bit in comparison to the original intro cutscene of the first game. Like, the crow taking off from the side of the wall, that looks really freaking cool. The helicopter looks nice. It doesn't look too choppy. And they copied it almost exactly, and they even showed her finding the first cave. But they copied her takedown from the helicopter almost exactly as the first game. And it just looks really nice. The first game's intro cutscene was pretty short, but this one was extended, but not to a point where it ruined it. And it looks amazing. Oh my goodness. Now the physics in this game are exactly like the Legends games. Now mind you, here we are coming into the game. See the checkpoint that comes up at the bottom and the noise it makes when you hit checkpoints? It is exactly like in the Legends game. The mechanics of her running around is exactly the same. Her doing the jumping and rolling, crawling and crouching, everything is the same. The only slight differences is obviously in the Tomb Raider 2 games, there is a button that you pushed on the original PlayStation 1 controller that allows you to automatically pull a flare out of her backpack. That was not something that she could do in the Legends game, but they added that in this game. If you push down on the control pad, the directional pad, it'll bring out a flare. If you push up, it does what it does in the Legends games and uses one of her medipacks or medic tools to replenish her health. shooting and drawing weapons and aiming are almost exactly the same. When an enemy is within her sights, it will put up a little red target circle, and she is able to do the same maneuvers that she does in the games, but so far throughout this particular level, she does not do any of those cool reactionary things that the Legends game was actually pretty well known for, where if you're locked onto a target and you're fighting them and they come to you and they're about to do like a special scene and it slows down and it makes you want to push a certain button, or if it has like the crosshairs coming towards the center and if you line it up right and shoot it at the exact same time, she does a really cool maneuver and it almost instantly kills whatever it is you're fighting. It does not do that in this game. She kind of just stays like this and you can jump around. You can do all the little flippy flips that Lara is pretty much known for. Now the FPS might be a little choppy, like when too much is going on too fast on the screen, it does render it a little sloppily, but I must say that the graphics are so pretty. There are trees that look nice and then there's some trees that don't. There's bushes that look nice and some that don't, but the water I absolutely think is my favorite out of the entire thing. The water looks so realistic. It's absolutely beautiful. And I love how, you saw how I was just flipping and jumping around? She had dirt all over her, and then when I stepped in the water, the dirt disappears. So they actually really took painstaking care into little details like that, where they rendered her model to have different versions of it, like dirt when she's rolling around the ground, shiny wetness and water when she's in the water and the dirt disappears, blood whenever she gets hurt, stuff like that. They really cared about and paid attention to little details like that, and it's the attention to detail that's really it for me. I absolutely love it when something like that. It draws, excuse my stammering, it draws my attention, I believe, more when there's little details, because it all pulls it together and makes this gorgeous piece of art, and it makes a masterpiece. Like the water falling down on the sides of the cliffs. How amazing is that? Look at it. Well, when the shotgun gets the heck out of my way. Oh my goodness. It looks so pretty. It's a little glitchy. Sometimes it does pan the camera so that it tells you where to go. I actually think I may have turned off the option for the ledges to be visible or not. I'm not sure. So I believe this was actually the first secret cave, although there's no actual secret in here. It's kind of just flares and medipacks and things, but there's so many new added caves and whatnot that you can explore for like little things like medipacks and whatnot, and they're actually not relevant to the game unless you're obviously looking to collect. Like right here, she does, see the sound effects, she does the same animation, the sound effects are the same, it's the same as the Legends versions of the game, but it's obviously based off of the events and locations of Tomb Raider 2. And this one has been aptly named Tomb Raider the Dagger of Xian, which is the artifact in Tomb Raider 2 that she goes after and acquires at the end of the game. The mechanics of her jumping around and grabbing ledges is the same. Letting go, jumping around, hopping back and forth, grabbing other ledges. It's the same as the Legends game. I actually really like that. Jumping around and having a more modern mechanic version of the old game. Oh, I already went there. It's amazing. It's absolutely beautiful. And we can at least get to the top of the first part of the wall itself, so I can at least show some of the combat, because she fights a couple of tigers, she fights crows, spiders, you know, the same basic things that you fought in the very first level of Tomb Raider 2. Like when you climb high enough on these rocks, a tiger will spawn downstairs. And when you get inside the first room of the Wall of China, which is literally right above this cave, then there's spiders inside. They actually rendered the spiders in this game to look like a Black Widow, and there's a new mechanic in here that I don't think existed in the Legends game, where if the spiders jump on Lara, you can push one of the buttons to make her swat them off, and if you continue to push the button, she will stamp on them and squish them. So you have two options of how to kill the spiders. You can shoot them, because 1 or 2 bullets will make them explode in little green pustules of blood or whatever. Or you can, if you're close enough to them, you can stomp on them, and it'll also explode them into a little splatter of green. So I really like that added mechanic in the game of swatting the spiders off, because they will actually swarm, and they will claw all over Lara and steadily sap her health. And if there's a lot of spiders at once, then obviously that's a really big deal. So now you notice that she can jump around and, do the same thing in Legends where you can jump across walls and rocky crags. When she puts her hand upwards, that's when you know that there is a wall that is able to be jumped at. Because if not, you'll just jump and she'll fall to her death. The only thing I did notice that I think was a little strange was that fall damage in this game is a bit, I would say, hectic. So I can fall from a sort of height and she won't really get hurt that much. But if I fall in a different way where it's actually a very short distance, she will not only yell, but she will die. It doesn't. There were a couple of places in this level when I was playing through it before that I fell from a height that normally you wouldn't think would even hurt Lara, but she goes, ah, and she dies. And she, ragdolls and flaps around, the death animation. So it was a little confusing, not gonna lie, how it was such a short distance that I really didn't think she should have died from it, but she did. So I think the fall damage might have needed a little bit of work. But the mechanics, the physics, the collision, everything seems to be in the correct place. Everything seems to be amazing. Now you can kind of tell what ledges you can grab onto because they have like this white marking sort of that looks like it was like maybe dripping down off the ledge. Like you can tell with these ledges right here, it looks kind of white, very subtly, but it's there. It's the same as the Legends game, but it's also an option that can be turned off so that you can have a more of a challenge and you can just try your hand and just jump at random things to see if she grabs onto it. But this is sort of an easier version where they actually sort of painted ledges to make it look like white paint or something was dripping down to let you know what ledge you're able to grab onto. Like I can tell just right now by looking over there that that's the edge that she will grab onto. That's actually a new animation that she just did where she kind of grabbed onto it halfway, like with her torso already on the ledge. That was something I think that they tried to do to mimic one of the animations that she does in the original Tomb Raider 2 game, where if you are kind of climbing up a ledge that's like maybe waist height, she kind of does a certain animation to climb up it. Now mind you, I jumped towards it, I didn't just climb up it, but it mimics the same animation that she does in the original Tomb Raider 2 game where she kind of climbs up a waist high ledge. Now again, this is even more easy. If you can see in the left hand corner where I have the camera panned, that next hole where she's got to jump at, it looks like there's something white dripping down. That's an option that is actually able to be turned off in the game, as I've mentioned before, that you can actually make the ledges less visible. See how the ledges right above me, the two holds, the actual window and the hold right in front of me, they look like there's something white dripping down from it? That just basically means that it's the game's way of showing you, okay, this is a ledge that she can grab onto, this is where you must go. You can turn that off in order to make it more of a challenge for yourself. And yeah, another cool feature that I thought was absolutely cool. Number one, they mimicked the inventory. They made it almost exactly the same. Now, obviously, it doesn't have a really cool red and gold flapping, billowing rug or tapestry background like the original game behind your inventory, but it did mimic the circular spinning and the two different levels. How the bottom level is basically your main inventory with your medipacks, flares, and weapons. It does not have the stopwatch that would give you the statistics of the level that the original game did. And above it is anything that you collect, like keys or locks or whatever you need to move forward and progress in the game. And this is the second really cool feature that they added in the game, was Lara's journal. It's also very similar to, I believe they first used something similar to this in Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness, which came before the Legends game. I knew they'd ruin it for me. Excuse me. This is, I believe, something that was initially introduced in the Tomb Raider series from Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness, which came before the Legends game, where they had a little journal or a collection of information that you could go in your inventory and read to either, get more information about the lore of the story that's going on, or maybe even get some hints as to what you can do next. This one doesn't have, exactly the same as the Angel of Darkness journal, but I really like how they not only made this really cute journal, and I love how the symbol on the map on that page, that bigger half of the book, it has the symbol of the Dagger of Xian from the original game. but they actually have little tidbits of information that is voiced by a voice actress impersonating Lara Croft. So it sounds like Lara is like maybe talking in her own head, reading her own notes. For example,
according to my information, the Temple of Xian is somewhere under this part of the Great Wall, but its precise location remains unknown. Instead of exploring all the caves around here, perhaps one of the guard towers contains interesting information.
so not only does she sound pretty similar to previous voice actresses that have been licensed and done Lara Croft content in the past, but she kept a little bit of a British accent when she voiced these lines. And every time you hit a new checkpoint or you enter a new area, a new tidbit will come into Lara's journal if you're stuck, and a little icon for the journal will appear in the bottom right hand corner of the screen to let you know that there's a new tidbit in there if you are stuck and you feel like you need it. And I think that is a really amazing feature. Now, in the original game, there were 3 different levels. There was the top level with, you know, interesting things and keys, the middle level with your main stuff, your guns and medikits and flares, and then there was a bottom level underneath it that had, you know, the options for the game, but that's not in this because there is actually a pause menu. Whereas in the original game, they pretty much put the pause menu and your inventory in the same place. But all the stuff for the statistics, like I said, the time stopwatch for statistics is not there because you can access it here in the pause menu. And loading and saving and returning and returning to the beginning of level and quitting the game and all that kind of stuff is also in the pause menu now, instead of in the bottom level of the inventory wheel. They also have options, which she used to have in the bottom of the inventory wheel. She had a little CD player and headphones to change the sound options, and then you would go to a controller. It looked like a game controller to change the, you know, button inputs and game controls. And she had a pair of sunglasses, which would allow you to change the, I believe, the brightness of the screen and the position of the game on your screen. Sometimes, I guess, different models of TVs back in the day, you would have to rearrange where the picture sat on your TV. You were able to do that with the sunglasses. I believe all that could literally easily be taken care of here in the options. They also have a photo mode where you can actually take screenshots of whatever you're doing in the game. The game is rendered absolutely beautifully. Now, Lara's not really doing much, but apparently she puts herself in a pose as soon as you enter the mode, and I believe you can actually change her pose as well. You can even change her facial expression, and you can choose whether or not she's in the screen. You can hide Lara or not, and you can even put her sunglasses on. I think it's the coolest thing. I have not utilized it too much and taken that many screenshots, but it's absolutely beautiful in certain places because the game, again, has been rendered gorgeously. Now look at that, she's got dirt. Sorry for the pause. She's got dirt all over her skin. Like, they actually rendered different textures and different effects on her skin. I think it's absolutely the most impressive. Like I said, it's the attention to detail that really gets my attention in a game. It's impressive. Cool. Now again, I love that. How they added, I guess, jump scares or random spooks. Oh look, she kept her sunglasses. Huh. I like how they add random jump scares and random things that just randomly happen to you, because they didn't do that too much in the original Tomb Raider 2 game. But basically, in the Legends game, they make the jump scares very obvious and very kind of shocking, to the point where it's like, oh, you have to quickly react or panic or both. And this one was, you know, barely the biggest jump scare that you can do in a game like this, like the Legends game, or using the Unreal Engine, etc. with these mechanics. There's definitely a lot more, and there's more later on in this particular level that they do utilize, and I think it's absolutely cool and fun. But it just makes the game, I guess, more modern, and it makes the game more fun to experience when you have things that kind of just make you jump out of your seat and go, oh crap, I gotta do this real quick, or make you quickly react to a situation or an environmental hazard or something of the sort. This particular part of the level is almost exactly the same as this part of the level in the original game, where you climb up all the way out that cave and get into the first part of the wall, and then you walk around and fall down a hole into a bottom level that has part of it filled with water, and basically you have to find a way to open a door. There's a lever around somewhere, but this one's a lot more complicated and complex than the original lever. I really like it. You have to basically use serious problem solving skills and critical thinking in these more modern Tomb Raider games, and they actually put that in this game. Yes, it may be a remake of the original Tomb Raider 2 game, but they used and incorporated mechanics and complexities from the more modern games. Not the most modern games, obviously. This is 2021. There's plenty more games that are even better than the Legends trilogy. But this particular game is modeled after the Legends trilogy, and they have all the amazing complexities in it that the original Legends trilogy has as well. And I absolutely love it. It made this so fun to play. And, again, problem solving. Now, mind you, you can read the tidbit and she'll kind of give you a hint as to what you should do next, but I kind of just looked around and there's all these white markings on the walls, but once you get used to how the walls look in the game, how the different footholds and arm grabs and things look in the game, you can kind of guess where she's able to go without needing those little white spots, and you can go in the options and turn that off. But as you can kind of tell when we were earlier in front of that door, it looked like one of the levers worked, but the other one, that one in front of me, is broken, so you have to find another way to figure it out. And while I was standing in front of the door, she was, when I was standing idle in front of the door, she actually moved her head up and was looking up towards this part of the ceiling. So that gave me the idea that I should probably climb around, and maybe my weight will make these things unstable and pull it apart, and maybe that can unblock the mechanism. And that's exactly what it does. Observe. Yoink. And now the door's open. A little glitchy when she comes out of an in-level cutscene. Not an actual full-blown cutscene for before or after levels, but like an in-level instance, sort of. She kind of glitches a little bit when she comes out of it. As you saw, she kind of jumped around, and I was not touching the controller at the time. But it's not a big deal. It doesn't like make her glitch through any walls. She doesn't defy any of the physics or collision in the game. She kind of just derps for a second, and you just regain control of her right after. It's absolutely an amazing game. And here we are outside. The track that is playing, that is one of the tracks from the original game that was remastered and sounds amazing with newer technology and newer musician instruments. But look at the wall. Just, wow, the mountains around, they went far. They didn't just do what Tomb Raider 2 did and make, like, you know, the basic imagery of what you needed to interact with and then a black ceiling because they didn't know how to render skies back in 1997. But they went all the way across where the horizon of the eye can see. They rendered mountains, they rendered sky, they even made random birds. Obviously, these are not the birds that we have to fight because they're not going to attack us. They're just environmental birds. But, and they do look a little bit choppy. Even from a distance, they have what it looks like they have holes through them. So, but they didn't pay so much attention necessarily to the birds because they're not really important. We kind of just breeze right through them. Again, the grass looks a little iffy, but it looks amazing. Like, it actually looks realistic when it comes to their movement based off of wind patterns when you're high up in the mountains at high altitudes like that. Obviously, there's a lot of wind, so the grass is constantly moving. The trees in the background are constantly moving. Even from here, you can see them move in the distance. All the way over there, those trees are actually moving if you look closer. So they really did pay a whole lot of attention to these amazing environmental mechanics, as in addition to just Lara and whatever she has to interact with. And they extended the wall as well, not just for, you know, background, but her interactions with the wall. There's a lot more of the wall that she interacts with before she gets to the next part of the game that is the same as the next part of the game from the original Tomb Raider 2. There's a couple of different obstacles and things that she has to get past, and a few secrets that she can find that were added into the game. Like down here, if I pull out a flare really quick, this place is littered with human skeletons. And if you explore enough, you find one pinned to a wall and a note on the ground. So this is the first note that I have found so far on the ground. There's actually quite a few notes sprawled around throughout the entire level. And each one kind of gives you a little bit of tidbit or a little bit of background or lore. as to kind of what happened with the Chinese emperor all those years ago and the dagger and stuff like that. Different explorers that have gone through these same parts and perished for whatever reason. She basically finds these notes. I think every single note that I found has been lying next to a corpse of somebody that has long died. So they're, you know, they're either journals from previous backpackers or people that even maybe she knew, or people that have been long dead for thousands of years, like this one, because this one says it's written in Old Chinese, etc., etc. Now, I'm not going to sit here and read every single one. This one actually came with a cutscene. That's really all it is. The skeleton just falls. But it's actually amazing. So in addition to the secrets of the game, mind you, I'm talking about the original secrets of the Tomb Raider series. In Tomb Raider 2, each level had 3 little carved dragon statues that you could find in random secret places that are either difficult to find or hard to see, etc. One was white, one was jade, and one was gold. You can find those in this game as well, but in addition to that, you can also find notes and diary entries and journal entries and whatnot that can provide you with additional information and lore to the game. And that, I thought that was really interesting. You do not need them to progress through the game. They're just something, I guess, secret collectibles that you're able to find. And I thought that was so amazing because I absolutely love finding things to read. Now, we are in our first instance of combat. Mind you, there are different difficulty levels for combat. So these birds are taking ages to die, and there's more than one bird. So the number of enemies and the length of, I guess, their health bar, which you don't really see health bars, but how many bullets it takes to take them down, I think that actually scales with the combat difficulty, which is similar to the Legends game as well. So not only is the number of enemies possibly scaling, but the difficulty of taking them down scales, depending on which difficulty you chose for the combat. In the original game, you're only assaulted by 2 birds when you come out of the first tower in the Wall of China, but that was 4, I believe. I forget how to sprint. Here we go. You can sprint, and there's no limit to how long she can sprint. In Tomb Raider 3, she got a stamina bar because sprinting was actually first introduced in Tomb Raider 3. She did not have that mechanic until Tomb Raider 3. Quite a few new mechanics got introduced in Tomb Raider 3. She could sprint, she could crouch and crawl, she could shimmy, and she could do, what are they called? Monkey bars. But in this game, she doesn't have a stamina bar. So in Tomb Raider 3, there's actually a limit to how long she could sprint for, and if the bar goes out, then she just can't sprint anymore and she stops. See, now I'm paying attention to her arm here because plenty of times I tried to make this jump and she fell down, and there's spikes down there. I guess I didn't pan the camera, but there's spikes down there, so if she falls, she will die. There are a couple of instances in this level as well that are similar to the really cool, like I was talking about before, like the little jump scares or quick reactions, things like that. Like right here, for example, this will fall if I don't hurry up and jump. So there's quite a few instances in this level alone where they actually do that, and it just goes more into what I was talking about earlier, how they added a lot of really cool mechanics from the Legends trilogy versions of the games, where you know, things like that where things will fall if you don't hurry up and get across, or a ledge will fall down if you're not running across it fast enough, etc., etc. There's plenty of them in this one level alone, and I thought that was amazing. It makes it so much more fun, so much more engaging, and it definitely keeps you on your toes. So yeah, so this is a pretty lengthy video, and I just wanted to talk about the mechanics. I wanted to talk about the rendering, talk about pretty much as I possibly could. I was going to end it after I killed a tiger. I just wanted to show off the ragdoll physics of a dying tiger. It's actually kind of funny and a little derpy, but after that I wasn't going to finish. I can do a second video of running through the actual level itself entirely, all the way into the end where it says to be continued, and then this demo is over. But since this particular one is already long, I am just going to get to the tiger. show you some more swimming mechanics, because in that first little area of water we didn't really have much to swim with, but this little lake here is much bigger. And again, it's almost exactly the same as the first game, where you have to go into an underwater cave to find a key. But it's a little bit more complex in this particular demo, because in the original game, the key was meant to open the door at the top of that tower, the next tower over there, but the key is not used to open it. You find a second method of opening it, and the key is used for something else, and there's a second key in the tower for another thing, and it's just a bunch of secret cool stuff. It's more complex. They added so many more layers of complexity to the game, and this is only the first level. The demo only has one level available, and that whole level is not even complete itself. And it's just absolutely amazing. It just makes Tomb Raider 2 that much more interesting and fun. Now, I haven't figured out how to swan dive yet, but you can swan dive off of that. The fish! My absolute favorite part. Now, I'm just a fish head. I'm a waterhead. That's just how I am. So, there's an up and a down. Now, obviously, the directional buttons will just have you go in whatever direction, but the X or action button will make her go up, and it looks like the circle button on the PlayStation controller, I'm not sure of the equivalent on an Xbox controller, that one will go down. And she has a bar in the top left-hand corner, just like as usual, which I believe, if it's the same as the original, has a 2-minute cooldown, so that she has 2 minutes of breath underwater, and then of course she'll start losing life if you stay down. And she can swim at surface level, and it's just like the Legends game, where if you're doing it normally, she does breaststroke, but the only difference is you have to hold a different button. In the original games, in order to make her swim or move faster, you would just constantly tap the triangle button on the PlayStation controller. But in this game, you don't tap the button, you hold it, and it's the R1 button, not the triangle button. But it makes her swim faster, and she's doing freestyle when she's doing a faster swim. Whoopsies, sorry, the camera. So idle swim is breaststroke, and fast swim is freestyle. Now, when you're in the Legends game, when you're jumping around caves and cliffs and ledges and stuff like that, you can also constantly tap the triangle button to make her climb faster. Like if she's climbing a ladder or if she's shimmying across a ledge, you tap that button and it makes her go much faster. But in this game, that actually does not happen. Even if I push the R1 button, it didn't happen. So I believe you can only really make her go faster in the water, and the R1 button is the same button that makes her sprint when she's on land. So I'm literally just holding down the sprint button and it makes her swim a bit faster. I think she does it underwater as well. You just use the down button, like I said, the circle button that makes her dive down, in order for her to dive from the surface as well. And it does make her swim a little faster underwater. She just does a faster breaststroke. So this is slow and then this is fast. She kind of just derp breaststrokes faster. But the fish, they actually are aware of Lara. So if I get close to the fish, they swim away from her, and they're 3D. They're fully rendered all the way around, so they're not just little flat 2D pictures that move around underwater like the original games. So, plus, plus, plus. So let's show off the derpy dying mechanics of a tiger. And one more thing, in addition to that, so the up directional button uses her medipacks to replenish health. The down directional button will pull out a flare. The left and the right will switch her weapons. Oopsies, I accidentally pushed down and drew a flare. We're going to put the shotgun. You automatically start with 5 bullets. You can actually find a few more shotgun shells later on in this level, but we're going to use it for right now. And I can even like let her get hit by the tiger a couple times, because if you stay down, she kind of takes forever to get back up. But if you're down and you're pushing either the action button or the roll dodge button, which is the same as the crouch button, which I'm doing right now, then she actually will get up a bit faster. It kind of used the same mechanics from Legends, where she will get up faster. Now I know there's a tiger just running around, but there's also a second tiger inside the cave you're supposed to go into next. Kind of confused as to why none of them have spawned yet. Wow, she jumps pretty cool with just a shotgun now, I'm not gonna lie. The key is in there, actually. The cave for the key is underneath that waterfall, just so you guys know. There you are. It takes 3 to kill the tiger, I believe. Oh my goodness, that's a... wow. I'm sorry, I didn't expect that. I mean, I knew it was derpy, but that's nuts. That's actually the first time I made the tiger die in the water. And it is derpy. The back legs kind of bend in directions that are not physically normal for pretty much anybody, let alone a tiger. And what in the world? Now, every time the tiger dies, or anything dies and it leaves a carcass, Lara is able to go through it. It does not keep its collision physics when it dies. All the tigers that I have fought in this game have done that, where even if they're on the ground, she's able to swim through them. And that shouldn't happen, but poor tiger. Okay. Alright. This is new. At least now you know. Let's make the other tiger die on land just so I can show you, because, wow. That was so derpy. Cave's over here somewhere. Come on. Gotta switch guns because she's on a bullet. Oh goodness. Trying to make her do, there you go, she kind of gets up a little faster. And tiger's dead. And the controller is actually vibrating. It kind of feels like a heartbeat because her health is low. Just push the up direction and it uses. I don't even have to go in the inventory and manually click it or none of that. The tiger actually looks a little bit more normal this time. Of course, when I want to go show it off, they're not as derpy. The tiger looks like it died normally. Its limbs are not, you know, derping in a different direction. But the previous playthrough of this, they were derping in very stupid directions, very unnatural directions. So I feel like the ragdoll physics of some of the animals that die in the game have been a little bit neglected. And of course they lose their collision physics, so Lara can actually run around through them without pushing them around or without colliding with them. But this is a great example. Derpy dead tiger. That is hilarious. I don't know if they did that on purpose or not, but that's absolutely hilarious. So these are my thoughts and my honest opinion and my general review of the amazing demo of Tomb Raider 2 made by NicoBass. Or it could be NicoBass. I don't know if it's the fish or the music. It's spelled the same. In general, overall, my absolute final opinion, this demo rocks. So amazing. I love it to pieces. I believe it's so perfect and it's beautiful. And I mean, even back then when Legends came out in, what was it, 2010? Somewhere around there, the Legends trilogy was going on. Even back then, the mechanics and the graphics and the rendering, it was all absolutely gorgeous for the time and for the hardware that we had. Because mind you, those games were out on the PlayStation 2. Underworld was the first Tomb Raider game that got released for PlayStation 3, but it also had a copy on 2. It was at the time that PlayStation 3 was just getting rolled out, so all the new games that came out were being put on both the previous and the new system. So Underworld was at that time, and Underworld was on both PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3. So the two games before it, Anniversary and Legends, they were rendered on the hardware of PlayStation 2, and they look like this. And that is amazing for a PlayStation 2 game. Like, how amazing is this? The cool mechanics, the cool structures, the rendering, the textures. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So I believe that NicoBass and all of the people that he collaborated with, I'm really not sure gender, they did an amazing job on this one demo alone. And mind you, they were working on it for a very, very, very long time. They used Unreal Engine 4, and they just all did such an amazing job. This is a masterpiece. It's incomplete, and I really, really, really would love to see the whole thing completed all the way through to the end. But this is just the very first level, and there will be a second video with no audio and, well, no audio from me, no commentary from me, where I'm just playing straight through the entire demo from start to finish. It is literally just the first level of Tomb Raider 2, the very first cave, and it doesn't go all the way to the end where that final door is. It kind of stops a little bit before that, and it says to be continued. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I want to hear what you guys think about it, and I would love, love, love to hear your opinions and banter back and forth and see what ideas you've got and what opinions you've got, and start a discussion and start a conversation. all my Tomb Raider heads out there, all my Tomb Raider lovers out there, what do you guys think? There is a free download. This demo is free to download. I will link the website in the description box so that you can go on over there. Mind you, the website, for some reason, takes a little long to load than normal websites, but just give it a second. It'll get there, and there are two different versions. There's a 64-bit version, a 32-bit version, and there's a way of downloading it just from the link, or there's a second one that gives you a Google Drive link. It is a 1.8 gigabyte download, and all you do is just click the setup and go through the setup, and it just puts the demo right there on your desktop. And it is PC only, but you are able to play it either with controller or with keyboard and mouse. I just touched the space bar to make her jump with my keyboard, but I have my PlayStation 4 Dualshock 4 controller attached to the computer with DS4 Windows, which is a program that makes it recognize it as an Xbox controller because it was made for PC, and the game, when I don't have the tutorial text on the screen this time, but the tutorial text will actually give you either the keyboard and mouse button and then a slash and then the button that you would use on an Xbox controller or a Microsoft controller. So because I'm using DualShock, which is for PlayStation, I use the program DS4 Windows, which will make the computer recognize this controller as an Xbox controller and behave as such. So I can play this game and plenty of my other games that are from Microsoft on my PC with a PlayStation 4 controller. We don't do Xbox. Fight me. No, but it would be nice to start another conversation if that's what you want. But I love to see awesome things. I love to participate in awesome games, and I love to love amazing pieces of art like this fan-made game by NicoBass. Thank you all so much for joining, and I hope you have a fun time playing this amazing-ass game and simping over this beautiful render of Lara Croft. With or without sunglasses. Happy gaming! Bye-bye! I know it's still recording. We're gonna have to edit it.